Hey YouTube, it's Kyle again. I just wanted to do a quick video of something that's not really related to my truck, but it's going to be related to my other toy, which is my motorcycle. So what I have here is a 2014 Yamaha Bolt. Basically, I got this bike when it was brand new. It only had 0.1 miles on it when I first bought it, and I wanted to do a little video as far as what I thought of it. I've had it now for a couple years, obviously, but I put about 7,000 miles on it, and some things that I like and some things that I don't like. So I guess the first thing that I'll do, and actually it's on the other side of the bike here, the first thing that I'll talk about is stuff that I don't like. The first thing that I didn't like was the stock exhaust that came on it. Now, I swapped that out pretty much right away, and I got the Vance & Hines True Dual Exhaust. And essentially what this does is it makes the bike, for one, look a lot better. The stock exhaust was like a canister style, pretty big, and it just didn't really look that nice. And it didn't have a nice sound either. So when I put that on, it really helped with the way that it sounded and the way that it looked. So that was nice. The second thing that I didn't like about my bike right off the bat was the intake system. So you can see there that I put on a new intake system. That's a Vance & Hines VO2 air cleaner, and that in alone helped dramatically with the way that it sounds. When it's running, you actually hear it sucking in the air, which is really neat. So those were a couple things that I didn't like right off the bat. The other thing that I didn't like was these bikes come from the factory. They run pretty lean, and when you're slowing down, and you're kind of doing a little bit of engine braking, you do get a few pops in the exhaust just because it's running so incredibly lean. I also added a fuel tuner to this as well to help with some of that, not only for the pops, but also because if it runs a little richer, it's going to make the engine last a little bit longer. So I wanted to do that too right off the bat. One of the other things that I did not like about my bike, and I still don't really like it, but it's really being nitpicky, is the gap. So when you look right here, there's a nice gap between the tank and the seat. Now, I'm not sure why Yamaha decided to have a gap there and why they just didn't either extend the tank or extend the seat. Either one doesn't really matter to fill in that gap. But at any rate, it's just something that I notice. Most people don't see it when they look at the bike. It's just one of those things. The last thing that I do not like about my bike is the fact that the speedometer, so when you're sitting on it, kind of give you a little bit of a bird's eye here. So when you're sitting on it and you look at where the speedometer is, you do get a reflection, especially with the chrome ring. You get a reflection, and it is also difficult to read when it's really bright and sunny out, unless you have like polarized sunglasses on. If you have polarized glasses or a shield on your helmet, it's not bad. You can actually see it and read it, and everything is just fine. But it's just one of those things where it's like, just put a regular analog speedometer on it and call it a day. No need to reinvent the wheel with that. But at any rate, those are the things that I do not like about my bike. So I either changed them or I just have learned to deal with it and live with it. On the other side of that coin, there are several things I love about my bike. So first one being, get back off of it here. First one being the way it looks. So I purposely made it so it was mostly black. I don't not like chrome, but chrome a little bit to help accent the highlights and stuff. That's what I like. So I really, really, really like the way that this bike looks. And I get a lot of compliments, you know, kind of wherever I go, of people that like the way it looks, and they always ask me what kind of bike it is, and that kind of stuff. So I do like that. It's a very badass looking bike, and the engine just looks massive when it's sitting in the cradle here. I mean, look how big that thing looks. It just looks massive. So I like that. The other thing that I like about my bike is that it's fairly fuel efficient. Not a lot of people consider that when they're looking at bikes, especially ones that are a little bit more higher performance. But it's very annoying when you have to stop every 80 miles or 70 miles to refill up because your bike gets just shit for gas mileage. So in this sense, it's good. You know, it gets about 50 miles to the gallon. It's got a 3-gallon tank, a little over 3-gallon tank. And I can usually go between 110 to about 130 miles before I have to really start looking for a place to fill up. So I like that aspect of it. It's very economical. The other part that I like about this is, well, the engine. I'll kind of go back to that. So the engine in this case, it's a 950cc, and in stock form, it's not that great. I will say. I mean, it was adequate. You know, it'll get you around town and it'll get you on the highway. But it was adequate. It wasn't crazy powerful. It wouldn't knock your socks off by any means. But after doing the air intake, the exhaust, and the fuel tuner, it added about 20 horsepower to the bike, which doesn't seem like a whole hell of a lot. But you also have to remember that the bike only weighs about 500 pounds. And when you have about 65 horsepower and about 60 foot-pounds of torque on something that doesn't weigh very much, it's fairly quick. Is it a fast bike? No, absolutely not. It's not a sport bike. It's not what it's intended to be. Is it decently quick for a cruiser bike? Absolutely. It does 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds. I tried that with a phone app. So is it super accurate? No, but it's pretty close. You know, it gets the point across. So I like that. The other thing that I really like about this bike is that I'm not a very tall guy, and this bike just seems to really fit me pretty well, and it seems very planted when it's going down the highway, so you don't get blown around by semis, none of that, and it just feels very sure-footed. So I like that. It's got great brakes. The throttle response is really good. So I like all of that stuff. But one of the most important thing as far as what I like about this bike, and really it's not just with this bike in particular, it's with all bikes. It's basically being like one with the machine when you're driving. So, you know, if you lean a little bit different, the bike's going to handle a little bit differently. If you open up the throttle too fast or too slow, like, you'll feel it. Like, you can feel your mistakes, and it gets you that much better as a driver in general, that I really like about it. Because, you know, you can drive a new vehicle. You're not doing anything at that point. I mean, you're basically driving a computer. Let's be honest. There's nothing computerized on this outside of the speedometer. So all your throttle input, all your brake input, everything is either manual or hydraulic or by wire, like by cable wire, not electrical wire. So that's what I really like about this. So as far as other things that I've added to the bike just to kind of make it my own, is I do have my fair share of highway miles. So I added a windshield. I don't know if you can really see that in the video. Kinda. It's kind of hard to do this because I'm using the front-facing camera on my phone, but at any rate, I added the windshield because I don't know if anyone's ever ridden a bike, but if you do ride a bike, you understand that there's a lot of wind blast to, when you're going 80 miles an hour, 75 miles an hour down the interstate, there's a lot of wind blast, and after a while, that gets really old and boring and tiresome. So I put that on there to help with some of that stuff, so I can go on longer rides without getting as tired. The other thing that I added was the pylon seat and the foot pegs for the seat. And I added that because I like to take my wife with me on rides every now and again. So it's not the most comfortable seat in the world, and she tells me that every single time. But for going around just doing a few, like a 20-mile ride or something like that, it's really not that bad. It's tolerable, but it's definitely not something that you'd go cross-country on. So I added that. The other thing that I added on here, which I'll try to, let's see if I can get this on camera here, is there is a throttle lock right here. If you don't know what a throttle lock is, essentially it's like a poor man's cruise control. They don't make a cruise system for this bike, and like I said, I do my fair share of highway miles. So I wanted something where I could give my wrists and my hands a break and my shoulders a break and maintain a speed. Now, because it's a throttle lock and not cruise control, it does exactly what I'm saying. It locks the throttle in a certain position. So if you're going up a hill or down a hill, you'll go faster or slower. It doesn't maintain the exact speed, which, whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but if you're on a long straightaway and you want to hold 70 miles an hour, you can set it to 70 miles an hour, and it'll pretty much stay exactly where you put it until you start going uphill. Then it'll slow down. If you go downhill, it'll speed up. So, but at any rate, I added that on there. I felt like that was almost a necessity, especially for the riding that I do. The other thing that I added, I'll grab this here, is a cool little mount that I put on here for my GPS. So I have this on there, so when I go riding, I don't have to rely on my cell phone to find directions and that kind of stuff. I can just use my phone, find the address, put it in there, put my phone back in my pocket, and it stays safe and sound. So I added that on there too, so whenever you go out riding and you want to find new roads and you just get lost because you're just exploring, it's nice to be able to find your way back without having to worry about your $800 smartphone hanging on a mount, going down the highway at 70 miles an hour. So, but at any rate, what I'm going to do now is I'll fire this up so you guys can kind of hear what it's like, and that'll be pretty much the video. All right, so here we go. So just a quick little video of as far as what my bike is, why I like it. If you guys, again, have any questions, by all means, leave a comment on the bottom, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.